Hey, Riv communities. I'm so excited to be here with you today. My name is Wendy Smith, and I am the Women's Ministry and Marriage Director here at Riv. So, we are in that time of year where we are starting to think about new rhythms in our life. School year's getting ready to kick off, and so we just want to talk about a little bit about rhythms and priorities today. So, have you ever gotten to the end of a school year, the summer, or some other rhythm in your life, and you've thought to yourself, where did the time go? How did we get here already? And I had wanted to do this, and this, but it never happened. Maybe it was that you wanted to read a book or take a vacation or complete a house project and it just didn't happen. Or maybe it was something more like, oh man, we really wanted to join a Riv community, but it never happened. Or I wanted to be a part of this Bible study, but I never got there to sign up. Or maybe it was, oh yeah, I really wanted to be part of Riv Kids and serve in Riv Kids this year, but that didn't happen. Psalm 39, 4 through 5 says, Lord, make me aware of my end and the number of my days, so that I will know how short-lived I am. In fact, you have made my days just inches long, and my lifespan is as nothing to you. Yes, every human being stands as only a vapor. Now, for some of you moms of young kids, you might hear that and go, that does not feel like my day. I feel like I am on a 3-hour repeated cycle all day long, and my days feel like years. But for some of us, the days really do just fly by. Just yesterday, my 2 boys were toddlers, and now I'm looking at them going, you're a junior in high school and we have to start thinking about college and do all of these things. How did that happen? How did we get here? So today we're going to take a moment to think about what we want and what we need out of this next coming season, this next September through May. But specifically, I want us to think about what we want and need from an eternal perspective. C.S. Lewis said, if you read history, you will find that the Christians who did the most for this present world were just those who thought the most of the next. And in Ephesians 5, Paul tells us, or actually he kind of warns us, pay careful attention then to how you live, not as unwise people, but as wise, making the most of your time, because the days are evil. So there are so many things in our world that are pulling for our time, right? And using our time wisely is part included in those verses about living wisely. And there's so many things that are pulling us apart, right? Jobs, social engagements, families, sports, shopping for groceries, making sure the oil gets changed in the car. They all are things that have to happen, but they pull us in so many different directions. And often our time gets filled with all these mundane tasks that do not have an eternal value. And we have nothing left to give to the things that really do matter for all of eternity. So to prevent that from happening, we need to be intentional with our priorities. So one of the first things that I've thought of to be intentional with our priorities is really to take some time to reflect. Reflect on questions such as these. What things does God deem as valuable? What things has He given me a passion for? How much time am I actually investing in these things? And what else is taking up my time? So you can feel free to stop the video right here and jot down some quick answers to those questions. What does God deem valuable? What things has He given you a passion for? How much time are you actually investing in those things? And then what else is taking up your time? All right, now that we've kind of reflected a little bit on where we are, I want us to think forward so that we can look backward. So I want you to think about next May, next Memorial Day. You're sitting out in the sun, maybe at a picnic or something like that, and you are reflecting back on this past year, which is really this upcoming year. And I want you to think about what things were most impactful on you personally. What brought you like true joy? And how about for your family? What was most impactful for your family? And then, do these things have an eternal impact? And again, feel free to stop this video and write these thoughts down, and just take a moment to get those thoughts on paper. All right, now comes the hard part. We've already reflected on where we are. We've thought forward to think about where we want to be. And now comes the hard part. In order to make those things happen, we need to be intentional about our priorities. So we need to think through, what are we going to commit to making time for? What are we going to do now that we might have to give up? Or what are we doing now that we might have to get up in order to make those priorities happen? What sacrifices do I need to make to keep my priorities as priorities? Have I thought to include anything missional in my priorities? And what rhythms or habits might I need to add to keep my priorities priorities? So in thinking through all of these things, I think it would be really helpful to take a moment or two to write down all the obligations that you have, all the commitments, all the things that are on your schedule, everything that happens week to week. And when you do that, then you can go back and evaluate what should stay, what needs to stay, and you circle those things. And then you think about, what can I let go of in order to make room for these intentional priorities that have an eternal impact to fit into my schedule. And you cross out those things that you don't need. And some of that would be really, really hard. It might be giving up good things. But maybe we need to give up those good things so that we can do something that's going to last for all of eternity. And lastly, as you're on this whole journey of processing and thinking about being intentional with your priorities, I would really encourage you to spend some time in prayer, asking God to give you wisdom on how you spend your time, what you should commit your time to, and what you can let go of. Because the Bible is clear in James that tells us that if we ask for wisdom, God will give it to us abundantly, and he will show us how we should be spending our time and what our priorities should be. So as you think through these principles of being intentional with priorities, you can use these principles with other things too. If you are a parent, you can think through, who do I want my kid to be when he is 18? What do I want him to know? What do I want him to have done? What do I want him to be? And then we can create our goals and our rhythms of our families in order to make those things happen. Or maybe you just want to have a better understanding of God's word. And so you can create goals and rhythms to help you do that. Maybe it's a scheduled time. Maybe it's a reading plan. Maybe it's joining a Bible study. Maybe it's listening to a podcast that's going along with the time that or the section of the Bible that you're reading. Maybe it's buying a commentary, or maybe it's finding someone else to do it with you to keep you accountable. So I hope you guys have a wonderful time talking through intentional priorities and what you're going to prioritize this coming year in your RIV community. Thanks so much.